Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studio, it's time for the GNFCC 400 Insider. Connect, build, and grow with the Greater North Fulton Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to the GNFCC 400 Insider, the monthly radio show and podcast presented by the Greater North Fulton Chamber. I'm Kali Boatright, President and CEO of the Greater North Fulton Chamber, and today we will be honoring our 2021 GNFCC Small Business of the Year Award winner. The Chamber honored many great businesses that make North Fulton such a great place to work and live at our Small Business Awards luncheon, but today I'm excited to introduce our winner and our guest, Tracey Grace, President and CEO of IBEX IT Business Experts, LLC. Welcome, Tracey.
Thank you, Kali. How are you?
Good. It's so great to have you here. We have so many questions, and I know you've got so much great stuff to share with us. Is it okay if we just jump right in?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Awesome. Well, the first question, of course, is what is IBEX IT Business Experts? Can you tell us a little bit about your company and how it all got started?
Sure. So IBEX is a labor of love for me. I started it in 2012. I had an awesome opportunity based on, I worked for a company called Quint. They were a Dutch consulting firm. And at the downturn of the economy, I had to find out what could I do to help them pivot and find additional business. So found an opportunity at HIMSS 11, the Healthcare Information Management Systems conference, and was able to find a lot of opportunities in health IT. From that opportunity, was able to really secure a lot of business for the company. And after a while, they decided they no longer wanted that business. They thought it was too far outside of their core competency, so they told me to get rid of it. And I said, well, what do you want me to do with it? And they said, well, we don't care. Let your customers go with your suppliers. So I said, okay, you know what? This is the perfect opportunity for me to jump off the cliff and start my own business. And so that's what I did. I utilized that one major customer that we had to start IBEX. And so today, what IBEX does, we are a technology and training services firm. We provide services throughout the country. We do a lot of government contracting, we do health IT, and we also work with corporations.
You know, when you said how you got started, it reminded me of the scene in Pretty Woman when Julia Roberts goes back into the store and says, mistake, big mistake, huge mistake. And I can only imagine how that felt for the other company because your 10-year anniversary is next year.
It is. It's so exciting. I've run into a few of the folks that I used to work with there, and they all told me that, you know, it was very insightful, right? I took that opportunity. Before then, never really knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but knew that I had a lot of great business experience that I could put to work, and always got a lot of encouragement from my husband to take that on my own and become an entrepreneur. So I really seized the opportunity and just went for it, really.
And entrepreneur is exactly right. It tells me a lot about you. It's such a great defining word, right? That you saw that opportunity. So what was it about you or your personality or background that really led to you being able to notice that you could do this?
Well, many times I had opportunities. I was able to close big deals, multi-million-dollar deals for companies. I worked at Learning Tree, a training company. I worked at New Horizons, another training company. I had a stint at FedEx. All of those organizations, I was very successful in selling multi-million-dollar deals. And so after a while, you keep going that way. You're thinking, okay, well, I'm making lots of money for the corporations, but with them, what's in it for me, right? You want to make business decisions. You want to continue to climb the corporate ladder. But when that doesn't happen, then you think, okay, well, the only way I truly can do that is if I work for myself. And I got to that breaking point, I think, with the Dutch consulting firm I worked with, and I knew it was now or never.
I'm so glad you leaned in. That's absolutely awesome. So you've really demonstrated, you know, obviously through the many things that you've done, how incredible your business is and obviously your ability to take it to that point. But what do you consider to be your greatest career accomplishment to date?
Well, funny you ask. On Friday, we are launching new software application, a SaaS system called Certifiably Diverse. Certifiably Diverse is a supplier diversity management system that was developed specifically for organizations that want to be able to find and manage their supplier database. So what it does is it actually provides diverse suppliers to organizations looking to diversify their supply chain. So oftentimes you'll have a company say, oh, we'd love to use more women-owned small businesses, but we have no idea how to locate them. Well, Certifiably Diverse is a software system that can help you locate that diverse supplier, qualified diverse supplier, whether it's women-owned, minority-owned, LGBTQ, veteran-owned, or disability-owned. So we cover all of the gambit all across the country.
I mean, this sounds amazing. As a person who runs a small business myself, I think everybody has the best of intentions. I believe innately people want to be able to utilize businesses that you've just described, but a lot of times the time that it takes to try and determine who those businesses are and how to get to them, you're cutting out all the legwork. You're actually doing that for the person and making it easy to be a good corporate citizen.
Yeah, we get a lot of calls from those who are really noted to be the supplier diversity manager or someone who does buying for an organization and they're having problems finding qualified suppliers. So they ask us, well, how can we do that? We don't even know who our diverse suppliers are. So some of our services that we offer, number one, help you to look at your existing database so that you can know, hey, out of our existing suppliers, which of these suppliers are diverse? So that's a starting point. You may not know that company X, Y, and Z is already a woman-owned small business. So if you start to understand who you're using already, then you can understand who else is available either in your area, or maybe you are a company that has multiple divisions across the country and you want to be able to utilize diverse suppliers in other areas. The system has the capability of doing all of that.
This sounds amazing, and I'm certainly excited. It starts Friday, so we like being right on the cutting edge of these things. So Certifiably Diverse, we look forward to hearing many more good things about. So I want to talk specifically about your amazing award as Small Business of the Year. Our Small Business of the Year award was created to honor leaders who display a vast knowledge and expertise in their industry and have a commitment to economic prosperity, quality of life, and a positive reputation in our region of North Fulton. So I've got to ask you, what is the secret to your business's success, and what makes your business so unique?
Well, I think the fact that when I developed IBEX, my vision was to be able to utilize a diverse set of employees to really be able to bring creative solutions to our customers. So when you look at our employee base, we have 30% of our employees are veterans, 50% are women. We have a mix of old and millennial, and soon it will be younger than millennial. Right. Generation Y, is it? Mm-hmm. And so we truly believe that giving equal opportunity to anyone really does bring about creativity in our solutioning. And so that's one major area. Also, our innovation. So we're always recreating ourselves. So when I built IBEX, it was my intention that we would start off with a real focus on healthcare and government contracting. By being able to have consistent revenues for our organization, I knew it would allow us to build the organization to a point where we could then go into advanced technologies and innovative solutions through R&D. So fast forward to today, 10 years later, and that's exactly where we are. We have a group of advanced technologists that bring technologies such as artificial intelligence, self-driving car battery technology, data analytics, enterprise cloud architecture, and other technologies that call IBEX their home. And so it's been a phenomenal 2 years of developing that practice. And now we are launching one of our major innovations called biometric testing for training innovation to help analyze training and revolutionize training so that we can help organizations to improve on their training execution and impact that side of the workforce development.
I'm going to say wow, because this is so far over my head. The innovation, I clearly understand and understand all the important things that your company's been able to do, and certainly being smart and starting with a very stable base is great. You as CEO and the founder obviously have found great success in that way. But I love the fact that you talk about your employees really being the number one secret. That's, and you as a leader, making sure that diversity exists, not just in the type of people, but also in the thought process, right? Because you want people who are going to come and bring all kinds of different innovative ideas and play off one another. And as you mentioned, each of us culturally and by age is going to have a different view, through our own lenses. So I would think that would be a huge factor in the innovation.
It is. And the thing that I'm most proud about at IBEX is our employees are really there because they want to be there. We're a small business. We're tucked away in Sandy Springs, and we're doing a lot of great things. But we get referrals out the wazoo of people who they want to work for us, and people who should come to work for us. So I think that's one of the biggest compliments I could ever receive, is a referral from a phenomenal individual to come to work at IBEX. And there, it's an interesting time right now where individuals are leaving jobs, they're job hopping, they're getting salaries that they could never have dreamed of. But we have a great environment, and we have a very team-oriented environment. So everyone pitches in to help everyone. With the COVID environment last year, it was definitely tumultuous, and there were a lot of our employees that were impacted, unfortunately, by COVID. But we all survived, and we were able to really march forward with the support of each other.
Well, and I definitely want to give you the feedback that at the awards ceremony, when your business was honored, and certainly you as the CEO, you had a number of your employees that were there, rightfully so, and so many of them just think the world of you, and commented specifically that the culture that you've established is the reason why they're there and the reason why it's been so successful. So it's a mutual admiration society. I'm very, very proud that you've been able to create what obviously during the Great Resignation, in air quotes, for many companies has really become a benefit to you.
Well, thank you, Kali. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So, obviously, as an entrepreneur, most entrepreneurs, you've got to have that gut check and that gut to be able to be an entrepreneur. They have this unique drive to succeed. They want to see the business grow, from startup to established business, which you've successfully done. Where does your passion come from? How do you, with all of the things over the last 10 years, and I know you've had ups and downs, how do you stay driven through all of those over that time? Where do you think that comes from?
Well, it's funny. My family, we have an investment group. So we meet once a month, and everyone pitches in. And my one aunt, Sharon, is the expert in stocks. And so we all invest together, and we look for opportunities. So that was a question asked last night of me, because we have some great things about to happen within IBEX. We're looking to acquire a company. We're in final negotiations. And as we continue down that road, they're wondering, okay, well, how did you get there? And I said it was a combination of a few things. So both of my parents are deceased. My mom, many years ago. And I just remember growing up, she worked with my dad, and my dad had a carpet store. So she had to work all day, but she was determined to get her bachelor's degree. So she took classes at night. And then she got to a point where we needed extra things. She worked even on the weekends. So she had a phenomenal drive to be successful. She was determined. So when I went to college, one of the things she said is, Tracey, you must get your degree no matter what. I then found an opportunity to get a graduate tuition fellowship at the University of Pittsburgh. And she said, go for it. No matter what your master's is in, go for it. Because when you take a break, it's very difficult to go back. So just go straight through. So I had encouragement at a very young age to continue to work hard and do it regardless. if you have to work 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. And my father at a very young age always told me, Tracey, you can do anything you want to. You can be anything you want to be. He even told me, Tracey, you can be Oprah if you want to be. It was
oh my gosh, that is great.
It's too funny. So, I was always encouraged to be as much as and go as far as I possibly could. So as I've been going on this journey, it's really transitioned from being about me to being about others. I've had an opportunity to get a lot of feedback from a lot of small woman-owned business owners that have told me early on when they engaged with me, they sat down and had a conversation, and I gave them a few nuggets that made all the difference in their business development. And now they're making money because of it. So I've heard that story over the past year, I would say at least 7 times. And to me, that's the give back. That's what's important. I realized that I've been given a voice that to me was very unintended. So, to whom much is given, much is required. And so I take that very seriously, and I have a quest to take that forward. But I also want to be able to show others that it can be done. And there's other ways of doing it other than only working for others. Being an entrepreneur, there's a great opportunity, and you can explore the things that you have inside of you that you never knew were there.
Well, and you're doing it for yourself too, which, obviously is a different drive level than doing it for someone else. I think it's amazing that your role model was your mother. Obviously, both your parents worked hard, but as a mom myself, and I know you are as well. So I think having, that thought process and being able to focus on, you from an early age had somebody that you could see as a role model, who didn't just verbally tell you that, but you saw it.
Yes.
That makes a huge difference. So obviously, as a female, IBEX IT Business Experts prides itself on being a woman-owned business. You've got great role models from that perspective, and you've done a lot of mentoring to your benefit and focusing on other women. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about your experience and your journey as a woman, especially in IT? I do want to focus on that because that is not traditionally what others see as a woman-led field.
Yeah, it's interesting. Today is very different than it was in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, you could almost find no women in the IT industry. So a lot of what I did and a lot of my IT background has been based on the fact that I specialized in training. And so in order to specialize in training, you had to know all about IT because there may be a global rollout of an IT software system. So you had to understand what it was doing, how it was doing it, how to train the people, all of that effectively. So oftentimes when we'd walk into a conference room, it was a room full of white males. So, and me being a brown woman, it's a little different, but you learn how to adapt. You learn how to execute in any environment. And I did just that. I became an expert at everything I did. Besides IT, I learned how to golf. So I can hit a really far drive, about 250 yards. So
good for you.
Yes. And just other things. Innately, I am very astute business-wise and then also able to relate to people. So I just use some of those normal business skills that I learned very early on and use that to my advantage. Well, fast forward as a business owner, and really transitioning into being able to network in different environments with women-owned and minority-owned other small business partners, it was different. And I will say I had to go through a transition period where I was used to executing in a minority to majority world. I was now working in a little different environment. So it sounds a little strange, but I had to learn how to do business with women. I didn't understand because it's a little different dynamic. So over time and over a few years, networking in WeBank and some of the other organizations here locally, I learned, but it took a little while, which is strange.
But I think women innately mentor one another in respect to that. And I know we're very grateful and you're, long time involved in this chamber. Others like Julie Haley with Edge Solutions, who's been on the show with us before. And I know that, you all have developed an affinity and a relationship with one another. And so I look at that and I think, how wonderful it is to have somebody in that same industry who you respect and who you can mentor one another.
Yes, Julie has been phenomenal. From very early on, when I just was launching IBEX, she latched on to me and she became a resource. We had lunch and she opened up her doors to me for any questions or anything, partnerships, anything. And then beyond that, she continued to mentor me as time went along. And more recently, she nominated me for the board of Greater North Fulton Community Charities. So now we serve together on the board. And we're also, she also nominated me for an International Women's Forum, which I was accepted into also. So she continues to see something in me, and I appreciate it so much. And I think it is definitely something that has to continue. You have to reach forward, but you also have to pull someone up with you in order to really complete the job there. But yeah, Julie's been phenomenal and an angel in my career and in my life.
And you're paying that forward in spades. I can tell you that, and personally, and we can all envision the ladder, right? As you're reaching forward and pulling others up from behind. So I think that's a really good analogy. So we're so glad, obviously, that you're engaged with us and in North Fulton, but, with a business climate here in North Fulton that's renowned for a well-educated workforce, world-class infrastructure, and the business sources. Of course, we believe that North Fulton is one of the best places in the world to do business. And of course, a great place to live. I know that when you moved your business, you moved it to Sandy Springs, which is great because you're still in the North Fulton region here with GNFCC. What drew you to this area, and what are some of the advantages and opportunities you see in this area for your business?
Well, when I first started IBEX, I decided that I would look at different organizations where I would spend my time and where I would go deep. The North Fulton Chamber was one of them. And from the very first time that I attended an event, I felt as though I was welcome there. And so I knew that out of all the organizations I kind of courted, North Fulton Chamber would be one that I would stay with. And so really that has driven a lot of my movement within my office. And within North Fulton, we have a great workforce. So most of my employees live within a 5-mile square radius of the office. We've been able to recruit people right there where the office is, which means they don't have to go through traffic. They don't have to worry about getting home if they have something going on with their family, or getting to the school, because we have working moms, working dads. And also the fact that North Fulton is, I think, second in the country as an IT corridor to Austin, I believe, is phenomenal. And so to be named as Small Business of the Year, to me, is monumental. And so I'm very, very proud to represent the Chamber in that regards, and also just happy to be a part of it and look forward to growing with the Chamber over the next year.
Well, we're certainly excited about that too. And we don't pay any attention to Austin. We think we're number one. So that's important in the scheme of things. I want to ask you how our listeners can find you. But before I do that, I want to give you an opportunity, because sometimes when I'm asking you questions, I want to make sure if you have anything that you want to let our listeners know, that you have the opportunity to do that.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Well, I would say if the listeners could do any one thing, I would say go to certifiablydiverse.com. Friday, our website is launching. Right now, you can register to get information about the launch, and you can be a part of our newsletter. So if you register there, once we launch, you'll start getting some information. I would say be a part of the change. There was a study that came out from PricewaterhouseCoopers earlier last week. And what they said, if all companies invested only 1% of their supplier spend with a diverse business, we would reach parity in 15 years. So I think that's very telling in a few different ways. One, that most are not spending with diverse suppliers. And number two, that we can get there. So I'm super optimistic, and I am happy that we can be a part of the change. We're going to continue to advocate, spend with diverse suppliers. And I would say it's something that's going to help to change the entire U.S. economy, and also give help where it's needed without having to put dollars there.
I love this. And I know this as a leader, you are successful at what you focus on, right? So if you focus on what you're doing with your spend and actually ask the question that you're already providing the answer for, certainly we're able to do that. So I respect that and think that this is a wonderful move in the right direction. And I will go on and register as soon as we finish.
Thank you.
All right, Tracey. So tell me, how can our listeners find you? If they want to reach out to you, maybe your website?
IBEXexperts.com or certifiablydiverse.com. Both, please.
Both or both.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Tracey, it has been such a phenomenal opportunity to have you on the show, and congratulations on your amazing award. You certainly have built an amazing business, and your employees are a testimony to that, but there's only one leader when you do that. And so I don't want to take anything away from the fact that you've built an amazing company, and people who are good have followed you, and that makes sense. So congratulations.
Thank you, Kali. I appreciate this opportunity.
Well, I want to thank Tracey, of course, for joining me today, but I also want to thank our listeners for joining us on the GNFCC 400 Insider, presented by the Greater North Fulton Chamber. To listen to this show again or to hear any of our previous episodes, you can visit GNFCC400insider.com. To find out more about the Greater North Fulton Chamber events and programs, you can visit GNFCC.com. Until next time, I'm Kali Boatright, and this has been the GNFCC 400 Insider on Business Radio X.